Good morning, Rick. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Keith. I like your red outfit, man. You ready for
Thank you.
business?
Yeah, it's matching Sarge back here. You
Oh,
know,
yeah, there he is.
yeah, he's got his joy scarf on, and yeah, it's matching that. So let's jump right into it, Rick. I thought we'd do a topic, and the title for it will be a deep understanding and commitment to the work. And
Oh,
when I describe the work, I mean the practice. I have at Mayo Clinic, we were talking about how things are going for me, and I was telling you that they're going so great. They're going really, really good, and they've been going good ever since I stepped foot in that place. And there's all new things that happen, opportunities. There's new challenges. All these things are happening, but one thing remains consistent, and that's my understanding of the importance of doing the work and my commitment to it. Like I don't let up one day. And I think, and I'm aware of how at any moment along the way, I could have tripped up.
mm,
I could have tripped up and failed. And it's not about that I've been perfect because I haven't been. It's because every time something that's happened that was not to my liking, that presented a challenge, because of the practice, my awareness that my next move, whether it's thinking, ruminating, or taking some kind of action, could have been the end of this ride. Like I could have done something to ruin it. Like I'm so aware of that. So a couple examples are I remember the first time that I was told to modify something that I was working on. And I was really attached to not changing it because I thought it would lose its potency, its relevance, and it would be weakened. And that thinking was my opportunity to apply the practice to me, not to the person who was making the ask, but to me being okay with the ask. So fortunately, I did the work on me. And after a little bit of suffering, because I had to go through it for the first time, I let go of that part of me and it was gone. And then I was able to accept and move on. So I avoided that pitfall. Other pitfalls have come along the way when I've gotten constructive feedback or when I was like, go at Mayo, or where my mind said, you've been slighted here, or
mm,
whatever. And
mhm.
each one of those pitfalls, because of the practice, I was aware of a choice. Whereas in the past, the choices have always been there. I just wasn't aware of it because I was so identified with my ego, my narratives, that I missed the choice. I missed that fork in the road that led to inner peace. I missed it and I chose the other path. And that path always ended up, at minimum, with a lot more suffering. And those pitfalls could have taken me out of this amazing ride that I'm on. And so when I do the practice, I do it first and foremost because I want to really be conscious on this journey that I am as much as possible. Because when I am, I live with an open heart. I'm grateful for every single moment. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because if I'm not, I will create more suffering for myself and I will miss out on even more rich opportunities with people and learning and growing and experiencing more joy. So I'm very, very committed to this practice, Rick, because at any moment I could have been taken out. And who would have done the taking out? Me. I would have been my own, I would have been the sniper of my own life. And so I'm just grateful. What are your thoughts, Rick?
Well, there's a lot there, Keith, a lot to unpack. I think that for me, I have a very similar respect for the practice and an appreciation for how it saved me from bad things, as you were
Mm.
saying, but also how it's propelled me along to accomplish some things that I wouldn't have expected I could do just because I was being myself, true to myself, aware of where I am in the present moment, being conscious of it, not judging, and also feeling grateful about whatever opportunities show up. I guess one of the things that I've learned over the years in this context is that a lot of what I've experienced that has been hard for me has come about because I've had some resistance to something that's unpleasant. So if you have resistance to an unpleasant situation, I found that that's the cause and the root cause of
Mm,
suffering. You know, it's kind of like judging, judging what your circumstances are. And the more you resist unpleasantness instead of letting it unfold and just letting it be and working through it, I think the harder it is to get through it.
yes.
And life is just all up and down, right? It's just all peaks and valleys.
Yes.
Luckily, the peaks are not that tall, and the valleys aren't that low. But it's sort of the same thing. It's the flip side of the coin. So, to the extent that I feel like I'm resisting an unpleasant situation, I have to snap out of it and get past it, and remember that that resistance, that feeling that I don't want it there, is part of what's bringing me down.
Right.
For
Right.
example, we're talking off camera about I've got a series of very important motions I have to respond to
Yes.
on behalf of a case, behalf of a client whose case is in the balance. If I lose these motions, the case goes away. And so I don't want to do it. I want to procrastinate. I want to think about pleasant things. I don't want to think about losing this case, and I don't want to think about doing a poor job in these motions. But the reality is, my resistance to that unpleasantness, the idea of slogging through all of this and maybe risking loss, that resistance is causing me a great deal of suffering. So the way you get through it, for me, is to push through it and just to put the blinders on, get the work done, and not be attached to any outcome whatsoever. In fact, the less attachment I have in situations like this, the better result I usually get. I don't know if
Definitely.
that's been your experience, but
It
yeah,
has been.
resistance, resistance and judgment, man. Those those two always fail me.
Rick, you're so right. I mean, God, you just dropped so much knowledge there. And this commitment, like, I mean, when I think of where would I be had I not done this practice, I know I wouldn't be here.
Mm.
And I know that I wouldn't have experienced as much joy as I have. I know that my life would be filled with, I mean, as you mentioned, like there's ups and downs and peaks and valleys. The difference is with the practice is I'm observing the ups and downs and the peaks
Yeah, there
and
you go.
valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm observing it. When without the practice, I'm experiencing them. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm watching my mind do its thing with the ups and downs. I'm watching my heart go through it, but I'm not my mind. I'm not my heart. So I'm able to keep this view of it and really appreciate my mind going through it, knowing that, hey, we're shedding some of that, those misconceptions or those judgments. So this is good. There's a pruning going on in that valley right now. And the same thing with the peaks. Like I'm watching my mind and like, hey, easy, don't get attached to that high there. It's transient. It's gonna go. But I'm able to observe it. And that's such a beautiful thing. And when I think about the commitment and understanding the practice, how many people I would have discounted and cut out of my life or whatever the case may be, discontinued a connection or relationship or chose not to work with because I would have used a small data sample. I would have created a narrative about this person or a judgment when not giving them a chance, right? My mind would have done all of that and I would have missed out on so many people, So that is a commitment to the practice that everything happens. It's not about them. It's not about the situation. This is about me doing my work. So, and again, being able to observe and rather than be along for the ride has served me well. And so that is why I am so deeply committed to this work.
I love that you trust the practice. There's no guarantee for any of us
Mm-mm.
that we're going to have great outcomes, but boy, it sure feels good in the process of doing the practice, regardless of what the outcome is.
Absolutely. Rick, thank you for today.
Hey, thanks, Keith. Thanks for including me.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.